Okay, I'm here with Rowan today. Rowan Ramsay, he's a good friend of mine.
Nice.
And he's come all the way down from Edinburgh, and we're doing a spot of canoeing on the South Tyne.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Basically today, I just wanted to have a little chat about beliefs. What excites you about working with beliefs?
I think just, if you go back to some of the more generalized beliefs that happen earlier in life, the shifts and changes you see in behavior and the way they respond to their environments, just, it's phenomenal how quick these shifts happen, So I think that's one of the main sort of benefits for me, just seeing that shift.
Yeah, seeing the shift in people. So imagine it's quite challenging sometimes working with people if they need to change their beliefs in order to change, and also if they've got really ingrained beliefs.
Yeah, I suppose we don't actually change the beliefs, and they don't change the beliefs. We just have to present information in the right way to their unconscious to allow that belief to change, to happen.
Yeah.
So if the belief is in error, which most of them are when they come and seek help from a counsellor or a coach or a therapist or whatever, the beliefs, as long as you can present information in a way that allows that unconscious to make a logical decision that this belief's no longer serving them or not accurate, it's never that hard to change sometimes,
Nice. So how do you work with beliefs and belief? Because my understanding is that they're two different things. Beliefs like a kind of conditioning thing, where you've acquired things over time and you believe them to be true. Yeah. Whereas belief is something that we'd all like to have in certain areas of our lives. Yeah, so how do you work with belief and beliefs?
If someone's got, say, a goal and they don't believe that they can achieve that goal, that's the belief side of things, isn't it? So in that, we would then look at what those sticking points are and use that to go back and look at their beliefs.
Yeah.
So if the belief was, I don't know, maybe a money block or something like that, even, we could then look at where that comes from and go back to times when they felt that they've had difficulty earning money or things like that before. Yeah. Or if it's trauma or anxiety or something like that that's stopping it, then we can go back and look at when they felt that anxiety before and then use that to effectively speak to their unconscious and get their unconscious to lead us back further and further and find out where the beliefs were created and look for the really generalized beliefs that are actually the sort of the single point. It's like roots of a tree.
Yeah.
So you've got a really generalized belief that happens quite young, and then more complex beliefs get sort of branch off that up into the present day.
Yeah. So, beliefs often hold us back, but they can also take us forward into the future. I talked to you before earlier on about this, like how it's a big theme in my coaching at the moment, where people have got this belief, this inspiration that they want to change, they want to create something like awesome, something extraordinary in their lives. Like it might be a business, exceptional lifestyle business, it might be a relationship, it might be something to do with their families or even moving house. So initially they've got a bit of a belief that they can actually do it, but once they go on the journey, it's kind of like a half. Yeah, it's like a halfway point, because belief alone doesn't always get us there. So it's a big theme for me now, getting people to maintain their belief and their focus into the plans, the structures and the visions they've created. And money mindsets, this is a big one that comes up time and again. You've just mentioned that. So money mindsets, quite often this comes from a conditioning from like our childhood or our parents or something like that. So what would you do with people who have got a specific money mindset block?
I had one. I was going over it with myself the other night, and it was to do with the saying that money is the root of all evil.
Yeah.
And this belief that if you have money, then you're not a good person. And this is something that was installed by my father when I was a little boy. But my father comes from a rich family and did a lot of good in his life. So, like, just analysing it now, I was able to sort of look at that. But if you know what the belief is that you've got about it, and quite often these will just pop into our heads when we're talking about these things just because of the state-dependent learning. So, you know, if we get an idea as to where to start, then we can go back and look at that. And it's just a matter of really presenting information to the unconscious that contradicts the belief. But you have to do it with that part rather than with the conscious mind. So you have to be working with the sort of the memory or the part or however you want to work.
And people don't always remember where the belief comes from. And
well, that's the interesting thing. When you start to look at a past memory of something, say even a couple of weeks ago, if you can get them to introduce themselves to their younger self in the memory, and then ask that younger version of them where this belief comes from or where this feeling comes from, because you're effectively opening a dialogue between the conscious mind who's observing and the unconscious part that's represented by this remembrance of them. That part, because it's linked to that, can just take you back through the affect bridge to initial sensitizing events pretty quickly. Like normally 2 or 3 jumps is sort of common. So even if they don't consciously know the belief, you can find it just with the feeling. Just with that anxiety about money or worry about money or things like that, you know, or whatever it happens to be.
So how do you go about attaining belief? Say if there's an area of your life that you just want to have belief in, belief that you can actually do it, whatever it is.
You would find ways of presenting that information to the unconscious. So like initially, you're looking at goals, aren't you? You're looking at doing smart goal setting. So stepping forward to a point, make it specific, you know, look back from that point. And at that point, you need to find the blocks, but you also need to correct the belief into something better. So this is something that, the way I work with timeline, we do this in the actual same step as we find the old beliefs and the generalized beliefs. And what you do is you reprocess the memory that created the belief and check that the belief's changed, and you're looking for that shift. So you can modify those memories in a way that allows you to effectively install a belief that you do want. In this case, the money is not the root of all evil, though lots of people do wonderful things with money and help the planet. So if you can show that to that part, then you can do the 2 things in one step.
And some of the visual techniques I've learned over the years through like NLP and the Bandler type approach, a lot of it's visual. Like imagine, visualize that belief, that image and stuff like that. But quite often belief is either, beliefs can sometimes be an absence of feeling or an actual feeling rooted in the body.
I think they've always got a story behind them, whether it's a kinesthetic story or a visual story or just an auditory story. There's always this story part.
It's like a narrative type of thing.
There's always this narrative that goes with it and what that means to us in our world. So whether like using imagine rather than visualize is good, because you know some people aren't good at visualizing. But I tend to find as soon as you start working with this sort of stuff, you get that visual starting to open up, and even if they can't really see it.
But it's quite difficult sometimes working with the visual when the person's got a feeling about a belief. So it's probably best to start with the feeling.
You start with the feeling and then work back to the visual.
Presents itself.
That's sort of standards to go in, look at what they can do. So if they're sort of visual kinesthetic, you would use those in. If they're auditory kinesthetic, then you would use those to go in. And the visual will open up once you start working there.
Like your sensory representations, So we talked earlier on as well, not on camera, but about this kind of attentional focus about how do you get belief, and we're chatting about, you get belief by actually believing, right? You know, if there's something you've got to do, you don't question it. You don't say what if or buts or maybes. It's to achieve something extraordinary. It needs to be an unequivocal belief that supports the structure or the plan or the process or something like that. And we talked about being on a river like over here. How
it's beautiful.
I don't know if you can see that without falling in the water. if we were to come down that river and we had to navigate it and it was a bit more choppy, then as long as we've got the skills to get down there, we can get down the river. But we also need belief. We need belief in our unconscious skill sets.
Yeah.
And belief is about attentional focus. It's about looking to where we're going and just putting trust in the process. So is that something you work with as well? You suddenly went a bit darker now?
Yeah, it's, I suppose it sort of ties into the smart goal setting idea, doesn't it? Where you can sort of step to that point where you've already achieved your goal.
Yeah.
And at that point, if they can't step there, then you know there's something stopping them, there's something blocking them within their belief system that they don't believe they can actually get there. So the belief isn't there yet. So, you can model someone and give them that shift and change that allows them to do that. But then once you've actually got them in that position where they're maybe 6 months down the line and their business has started or whatever it is, you get them to then look back and see all of the decisions that they've made, all the things they've had to do to get there. And that gives them all of the eddies in the river to watch out for, all the rocks, things like that.
Yeah.
And gives them that clear path to where they are now. And I sort of look at this as, our minds are like this universe. And I look at it like we've got a multiverse and we've got time.
Yeah.
And we've got our point of reference.
Yeah.
So when we're sort of not setting goals and not using sort of smart goal setting, and that sort of, you can use it, the law of attraction, if you wanted to use that word. It's the same sort of thing in my mind. As soon as we start doing that, we start choosing which path to go through instead of the happenstance guiding us.
So we start actually directing our own
or directing
future.
Our point of awareness through the multiverse, effectively, or through the possible.
So rivers are like fantastic metaphors for making decisions in life, for having belief, for learning new skills, for connecting with environments. And if I was to take the paddle off Rowan now and just push him out in the current, the chances are he'd probably lose a bit of trust or
just a little,
or belief in me and my kind of support. But he's placed the trust in meeting up with me, coming out on the river today to talk about this wonderful subject of belief. I'd be really interested to find out what people in my group think about belief and how they actually work with it. Belief being the belief that you can actually do something, you can achieve it. Belief being the start of the process, the plan or the vision. Belief being the basis for consistent personal action. So, is there anything else you'd love to say, Rowan, on the topic of belief?
I think that, we touched on this before as well, and it's a view that I have that, short of any physical disability, we can do anything anyone else has ever done on this planet, and more, because we've got more resources available to us at this point in time than we've ever had before. Yeah. So the world really is your oyster in that respect, and if we start to look at the world like that, I think looking at the world in the view that we are this point of awareness and everything we know is within our own mind. It's all part of like, I can't know anything outside my own mind. Yeah. So it's only my mind that ever limits me. And I think understanding that as a belief is a really powerful belief to set within your own unconscious mind and conscious mind as well. So. And also the belief that you have the control. Yeah. Yeah, it's not an outside. You've got the paddle. You're not at the mercy of the outside world. It's about changing, flexing and adapting to the outside world while sticking towards your plan. It's something I say to clients is, are you response able for the stuff that happens in your world? Now, I'm not asking you if you're the owner of the problem. I'm asking you if you're able to respond. Are you response able? And I think if we make that decision that we are able to respond to everything that happens, we are response able for everything that happens, we get ultimate power in our universe. We get the real, we've got both paddles and the motor at the back, and we can choose exactly where we're going up and down that river all day, Yeah. Okay then, Ron, nice little chit chat there on the topic of belief. Thank you very much for your time. It's been absolutely awesome. Let's go and do some paddling. Yeah.